Hello, my name is Janet Coupland, and I had the privilege of being the curator of MAC's 50th anniversary exhibit here in the Carroll Gallery on the Physick Estate. If you haven't had an opportunity to see our exhibit in person, I hope you've had the opportunity to take a look at the series of videos presented by Tom Carroll, the president of MAC's Board of Trustees. They are available online for you to view. The actual exhibit here is going to be taken down in just a few days to make way for our old-fashioned Christmas exhibit, which will be starting soon. Now, our exhibit was designed to focus on MAC's 50-year journey, and what a journey it has been. Starting as a fledgling organization with the intention of saving the Emlen Physick Estate, that was followed by the historic preservation of two more historic sites, the Cape May Lighthouse and the World War II Tower. Along the way, a number of other community outreach activities were started, such as museum education, tours, exhibits, festivals, and a continued emphasis on historic preservation. Now, in my work as curator, I had a wonderful opportunity to take an 18-month trek through Cape May MAC's history. And in doing so, I uncovered some amazing treasures. I looked at thousands of pictures and historical documents. I also had an opportunity to talk to a lot of people who were here during MAC's history, and what a wonderful opportunity that was as I dug through many boxes, file cabinets, and scrapbooks. And I'd like to share a couple of the treasures that I uncovered. One of the treasures was the actual demolition permit that was issued to destroy the Emlen Physick House. How close we came to almost losing this treasure. I also found a number of pre-restoration pictures of the Emlen Physick House, as well as the tower and the lighthouse. And one of my favorites was finding the very first brochure of the first Christmas candlelight tour, 46 years ago, back in 1974, when only a few buildings were on tour. I also found an amazing document that was signed by the Board of Trustees many years ago, and it was very important to MAC's future. It was the decision to use the Physick House as a museum rather than a community-based event space. Cape May MAC would not be the organization that it is today without the wonderful contribution of our staff and our volunteers. Over time, this group has been selfless in their dedication and their contribution of time, energy, and talent. So I would like to dedicate the exhibit to everyone who in any way contributed to MAC's success and growth over time. They brought us to 2020, and our future looks even brighter. In particular, I would like to thank two people who were very instrumental in putting the exhibit together. First, Jean Barraclaw and her amazing talent as the exhibit designer. And then to Michael Zuckerman, the Director Emeritus of Cape May MAC, who asked me to be the curator of the exhibit and who provided guidance and a lot of contribution to the content. Thank you. I'm happy to report that our 50th anniversary exhibit will reopen in the spring of 2021, and hopefully more of you will get an opportunity to visit and enjoy it. And in closing our exhibit at the end of 2021, we plan to seal this time capsule. It will contain all of our memories from the last 50 years, and we will reopen it in 2070 on Cape May MAC's 100th anniversary. I hope to see you there. Thank you.
Good day, everybody. Tom Carroll again, President of Cape May MAC. I want to start my final lecture with, again, a very special thanks to Janet Coupland and Jean Barraclaw, who were very instrumental in putting this whole exhibit together. I have had the pleasure of showing it off, and they have had the hard work of putting it all together, which has been really over a 2-year period of time. I also want to thank our staff member, Susan Krzyzak, who has lived through my broken presentations and retapes and all these things to put these together, add my pictures to them, and create a 15 video series, which I hope you have all enjoyed very much. But I want to give just a little recap of those 50 years. And where we started the first lecture, I was pointing out the dilapidated Emlen Physick Estate as Mac acquired it 50 years ago. It was in terrible condition. It needed everything. It was a battle acquiring it, which I've covered over. And I really think we have to be so proud of this building today. Now, we didn't just get this building. The photograph that I'm bringing up now shows some of the many outbuildings on the estate, which one by one has been restored. They were all part of the estate. The estate actually at one point was 8.8 acres, which includes where all the tennis courts are today. The brick building at the tennis club was one of the buildings on the grounds that belonged to Dr. Physick. There were 2 lakes. One of the lakes is still there and has been very nicely restored, along with a playground for the kids. The second lake right behind us was filled in and became more tennis courts and parking for everybody, and very much put to use. The building called the Hill House, we think was Dr. Physick's kind of getaway from the ladies in the main house building, is now one of our office areas. The Carriage House, one time the home of the Cape May County Art League, is now offices upstairs, a kitchen that serves our new vintage restaurant, a gift shop, and this particular room, which serves as a wonderful traveling exhibit venue. One of the only new additions that we've added to the estate is the barn that was behind Elaine's Dinner Theater on Lafayette Street. They had requested to the HBC that they be allowed to tear this building down, but it represented a very early period of construction, and the HBC insisted that they could move it, but they wouldn't allow them to destroy it. So they offered to move it to the estate, and we could take it over and use it for whatever purposes we have. Well, with the lack of money, it sat there in a very sad, kind of ugly situation for quite a few years. And the only real purpose I think it served once was as a backdrop for a outdoor jazz festival. And I guess it looked as beat up as Preservation Hall in New Orleans and went right in with the jazz image that they were portraying. But recently, when we were forced to remove offices from the 3rd floor of the Physick Estate, we acquired funding to do a restoration of Elaine's barn. And you can see in this photograph that the gentleman who helped us the most with the funding of that was our former Chief Financial Officer, Dan Barbera, along with Michael and myself, with a wonderful finished barn, keeping its barn appearance with the sliding door, but now serving as offices. This year, as we entered our 50th anniversary, we decided to do a little changing around. And I'm just gonna swing over here because I wanna point up to the final exhibit in our wonderful gallery exhibit. MAC, when it was first formed, was the Mid-Atlantic Center for the Arts. And we're not real sure how that name was created. I have to admit, if I can steal a line from Alexander Hamilton, I wasn't in the room where it happened. But I would imagine that if they looked at a map of the Mid-Atlantic area and pinpointed Cape May and drew a circumference around it, we would realize that from suburbia Washington to outside New York and half of Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware, the Mid-Atlantic states were really all within a nice range. So why not be big and proud and name ourselves the Mid-Atlantic Center for the Arts. Now, our new name kind of grew out of a recognition that the name Cape May is a brand in itself. Years ago, when my wife and I traveled, and this I'm talking 40 and 50 years ago, and I said, we live in Cape May, people would get a quizzical look on their face and sometimes say, you mean Cape Cod, Cape Fear? And I said, no, Cape May, New Jersey. Nowadays, when I say I live in Cape May, people say, it's on my bucket list. I've been there. It's one of my favorite places. How lucky you are. So in figuring out our new name, we said we really want to use Cape May in it, but we also wanted to keep MAC. because those letters now stand for the things we do: museums, arts, and culture, and of course celebrating our 50th year anniversary. So it really makes sense. It makes a beautiful signage, a colorful attraction, and we are well our way into our next 50th years. Now, it's probably time that a lot of people would start predicting for the future, but I've noticed that there's not a presidential candidate out there today who's trying to predict the future, and considering what we've gone through in this year, I don't think I'm going to try to predict it either. But I do think the 50 years that we've been through show that MAC has a resiliency and a growth potential that we will only continue to grow and continue to lead the renaissance of Cape May. These have certainly been wonderful years for myself with the activity. I love MAC, and I think I always will. I won't be here 50 years from now when we open up the time capsule. I'd be 126 by then, and I don't think I'm going to make that. But I do hope that you will, if you're not members, you will join MAC. If you care to donate, it would be very much appreciated, particularly in a tough year like this. But I also hope to run into you on the grounds, on a tour, doing one of the many different things we do on the grounds, and share the enjoyment we have, the staff, the members, the board of trustees, the joy that we have in being part of this estate, and we welcome you to become part of that as well. I thank you a lot for hopefully listening to all my videos, and I hope you'll come and visit the exhibit as soon as possible. Thanks again.